Have you ever pondered the depths of human endurance in the face of unspeakable horror? Today, we peel back the layers of time to uncover a chilling chapter in world history, the Holodomor. This event, often shrouded in the shadows of the past, is a significant part of Ukraine's history. From 1932 to 1933, this man-made famine claimed the lives of millions in Ukraine, a consequence of Stalin's policy of forced collectivization. Yet, despite its profound impact, the Holodomor remains largely unknown, its existence contested by those who choose to look away. This video aims to break the silence, to shed light on this dark period, and to foster a greater understanding of the resilience that kept a nation alive. The Holodomor is a tale of unimaginable suffering, but it is also a testament to the indomitable human spirit. It is a narrative of a people who, despite the cruelest of circumstances, refuse to be broken. It is a story of resilience and survival, of a nation that rose from the ashes of despair to reclaim its place in the world. The journey to uncovering the truth about the Holodomor is not an easy one. It is fraught with controversy and denial, with many reluctant to acknowledge its occurrence. It is a narrative that has been suppressed, manipulated, and denied by those in power. Yet, it is essential to unravel this unknown, to confront the past and learn from it. Our purpose is not to point fingers or assign blame, but to understand, to remember, and to ensure that such horrors are not repeated. As we delve deeper into the Holodomor, we will compare this event to other similar occurrences in world history, exploring the parallels and contrasts. We will examine the statistics, the untold stories, and the lasting impact of this tragedy on Ukraine and the world. Today, we delve into the chilling chronicle of the Holodomor. Join us as we embark on this journey of discovery, as we confront the past and seek to understand the strength and resilience that define the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity. In the early 1930s, an ominous shadow fell across the fertile lands of Ukraine. A time marked by political upheaval and drastic change, the dawn of this decade bore witness to the initiation of what would later be known as the Holodomor. The political climate within the Soviet Union during this period was dominated by the iron fist of one man, Joseph Stalin. His rule was characterized by a relentless pursuit of power and a ruthless disregard for individual freedoms. Stalin was the architect of a series of policies and measures that would ultimately lead to the devastating famine in Ukraine. One such policy was forced collectivization, a cornerstone of Stalin's plan to transform the largely agricultural Soviet Union into an industrial powerhouse. The state seized control of all privately owned land, livestock, and produce, forcing rural dwellers onto collective farms. However, the policy was met with resistance, especially in Ukraine, a region known as the breadbasket of Europe due to its fertile soil and productive farming communities. To crush this resistance, Stalin imposed impossibly high grain quotas on Ukraine, leaving the populace with insufficient food for survival. When the Ukrainian farmers failed to meet these quotas, they were accused of hoarding grain and were severely punished. The state's seizure of grain, coupled with poor weather conditions, led to a drastic drop in agricultural production. As the state continued to requisition grain, the people of Ukraine found their food supplies dwindling. The government's relentless pursuit of grain, even in the face of clear evidence of the looming famine, demonstrated a shocking disregard for human life. Meanwhile, the Soviet propaganda machine worked tirelessly to mask the reality of the situation. The state-controlled media painted a picture of abundant harvests and thriving collective farms, while the reality was a rapidly deepening crisis of hunger and despair. In the early 1930s, the fertile lands of Ukraine turned into a landscape of desolation and death. The policy of forced collectivization, implemented with ruthless efficiency, had set the stage for one of the most horrific man-made famines in history. As the seeds of despair were sown, the people of Ukraine stood on the precipice of an unimaginable catastrophe. As the harvests failed, a silent, insidious enemy crept into homes across Ukraine. This enemy was a man-made famine, a calculated act of brutality that would come to be known as the Holodomor. The year was 1932, And the Soviet Union, under the iron fist of Joseph Stalin, was in the throes of forced collectivization. What started as a slow creep of hunger soon turned into a full-blown catastrophe. The Soviet regime, in an act of cruel indifference, denied the existence of the famine, even as it seized the last scraps of food from the starving Ukrainian people. This wasn't just a denial of food aid, it was a deliberate and systematic effort to break the will of a nation. The severity of the situation was beyond comprehension. In the cities, people collapsed in the streets, their bodies emaciated to the point of skeletal frailty. In the countryside, once bustling with life and harvest, there was only silence, punctuated by the desperate cries of those clinging to life. Families were torn apart, not by conflict or displacement, but by sheer, brutal hunger. Parents watched helplessly as their children wasted away, their rosy cheeks replaced by sallow skin stretched tightly over protruding bones. Yet, in the face of this unimaginable horror, the human spirit proved resilient. People took desperate measures to survive. They scavenged for scraps, hunted rodents, and some, in the throes of desperation, resorted to the unthinkable act of cannibalism. The silent killer was remorseless, relentless. It did not distinguish between young or old, rich or poor. It simply took and took until there was nothing left to take. The Holodomor was not a natural disaster. It was a calculated act of mass murder, a silent genocide that claimed millions of lives. It was a testament to the dark depths humanity can sink to, a chilling reminder of the power of hunger as a weapon of war. In the grip of this relentless silent killer, millions perished. Yet their stories live on, whispered in the wind that rustles through the fields of Ukraine, a haunting echo of a tragedy that must never be forgotten. While Ukraine languished, the world remained largely oblivious to its plight. As the Holodomor unfolded, a famine engineered by the Soviet regime, the international stage was largely unresponsive, a silent audience to the drama of despair. Across the globe, the realities of the Holodomor were hidden behind a shroud of Soviet propaganda. The Soviet Union, in a chilling display of control, managed to manipulate the narrative around the famine. They presented it as a mere bump on the road to progress, a necessary hardship on the path to the utopian society they promised. But behind this facade of propaganda, the grim truth was a genocide, a man-made disaster that claimed millions of lives. The Soviet Union's control wasn't limited to its borders. It extended to foreign journalists and diplomats, who found themselves caught between revealing the truth and preserving their access to the Soviet Union. The likes of Walter Duranty of the New York Times, who won a Pulitzer Prize for his reporting from the Soviet Union, played down the severity of the famine, even denying it outright. This denial, propagated by influential voices, contributed to the world's ignorance and indifference. Yet there were those who risked their lives to expose the truth. Journalists like Gareth Jones, a young Welshman, defied the Soviet censorship and brought the realities of the Holodomor to the world. He was later banned from the Soviet Union and died under mysterious circumstances. His courageous reporting stands as a testament to the power of truth in the face of oppressive regimes. There were also diplomats who documented the famine and sent reports back to their home countries. But even then, these reports often fell on deaf ears, either disregarded or suppressed, as countries prioritized diplomatic relations over human rights. The world's silence, whether coerced or voluntary, echoes hauntingly in the annals of history. The Holodomor, a catastrophic event that took millions of lives, was met with a heartbreaking silence. It is a stark reminder of how the world can sometimes turn a blind eye to unimaginable suffering, a lesson we must never forget. The Holodomor left a scar on the Ukrainian landscape and psyche that persists to this day. As the dust settled on the catastrophic man-made famine, Ukraine was left to grapple with the profound effects of the Holodomor. The immediate aftermath was characterized by a sharp decline in population, a hollow echo of the millions who had perished. The demographic fabric of Ukraine was forever altered, with entire communities wiped out and families torn apart. but the repercussions extended far beyond the physical. The Holodomor left an indelible mark on the cultural and national identity of Ukraine. The famine was not just a tragedy, it was a tool of oppression, an attempt to crush the spirit of a people, to erase their language, their customs, their very identity. And yet, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, Ukraine persevered. The enduring spirit of the Ukrainian people, their resilience in the face of immense adversity, is a testament to their strength and determination. In the years that followed, Ukraine has made concerted efforts to remember the victims of the Holodomor, to ensure that their suffering is not forgotten. Monuments have been erected, commemorations held, and educational initiatives launched. The Holodomor has become a symbol of Ukrainian resistance, a painful reminder of the past that serves as a beacon for the future. Yet, the task of educating the world about the Holodomor remains a significant challenge. Despite the enormity of the tragedy, the Holodomor is often overshadowed in the annals of history, its story untold, its victims unacknowledged. But Ukraine continues to fight for recognition, to make the world bear witness to the atrocities that were committed. The aftermath of the Holodomor is not just about the immediate toll it took on Ukraine, but the lasting legacy it has left behind. It's about the resilience of a nation, the memory of a people, and the ongoing struggle for recognition and remembrance. The echoes of the Holodomor, though often unheard, reverberate through the generations. The Holodomor was not an isolated event in the annals of human suffering. As we look back on history, we find that the Holodomor was not a singular occurrence. There have been other man-made famines, each with its own unique circumstances, yet bound by a common thread of human suffering. Consider the Irish potato famine in the mid-1800s. A blight on the potato crops led to a devastating famine, exacerbated by British policies that continued the export of other food crops, leaving the Irish population starving. The parallels with the Holodomor are striking. A crop failure worsened by political decisions, leading to mass starvation and death. Halfway across the world, in China, the Great Leap Forward from 1958 to 1962 saw another catastrophic famine. The rush towards industrialization, coupled with disastrous agricultural policies, resulted in the deaths of tens of millions. Again, we see the hand of misguided policies and political ambition in creating a tragedy. In each of these instances, we see a terrifying similarity: the role of human action or inaction in exacerbating natural calamities. We see the heavy cost of political decisions, of disregard for human life in the face of ideological pursuits. Yet there are differences too. Each event occurred in a different cultural and political context. Each population faced its own unique challenges, and each government responded in its own way, for better or worse. The Holodomor, the Irish potato famine, the Great Leap Forward, these are not just historical events. They're lessons in the capacity of human beings for both cruelty and resilience. They're reminders of the importance of sound policies, of the need for governments to prioritize the welfare of their people above all else. In the face of such horrors, we are compelled to ask, have we truly learned from history? We have treaded the harrowing path of the Holodomor, but what do we carry forward from this journey? In this exploration, we have unraveled the unknown layers of a tragedy that unfolded in the early 20th century. From the dawn of despair to the silent killer that was the man-made famine, we have journeyed through the stark realities of the Holodomor. We have seen the world's response, or rather, the lack thereof, and we have witnessed the unseen aftermath that has had lasting implications on Ukraine and its people. The Holodomor, despite its magnitude, remains lesser known compared to other historical atrocities. We have placed it in perspective, comparing it with similar events in world history, not to measure suffering, but to highlight the importance of acknowledging every facet of our shared past. Understanding the Holodomor is not just about recounting the grim statistics or delving into the politics of the time. It's about recognizing the resilience of the human spirit, the courage of a people who endured unimaginable hardship. It's about remembering the lives lost and ensuring their stories continue to be told. This journey has also been a reminder of our responsibility to question and explore history, to not just accept narratives at face value, but to dig deeper, to seek out the untold stories and the silenced voices. Our understanding of the past shapes our present and our future. It informs our actions, our values, and our empathy towards others. As we remember the Holodomor, let it not be a tale of despair, but a beacon of resilience, a testament to the human spirit, and a stern reminder of the lessons history imparts. Let's carry forward a renewed commitment to learning, to understanding, and to remembering. For in the words of philosopher George Santayana, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the untold darkness of the Holodomor. We've shed light on a historical event that has long been overlooked, and together, we've learned about the resilience and the indomitable spirit of the Ukrainian people. If you found this video informative and enlightening, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others. By doing so, you're helping to spread awareness and ensure these stories continue to be told. Your support is invaluable in our shared commitment to learning, understanding, and remembering. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into history. We have many more stories to tell, many more lessons to learn, and many more voices to amplify. Together, we can ensure that the lessons of history are never forgotten. In the face of despair, we find hope. In the face of darkness, we find light. And in the face of forgetfulness, we find remembrance. Let's continue this journey together, and let's continue to remember. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring.